Imagine a time when the world was far smaller, when vast oceans were terrifying unknowns, and distant lands were mere whispers in adventurers' tales. Then, from the 15th to the 17th centuries, humanity embarked on an era of unprecedented discovery, driven by ambition, greed, and the pursuit of the unknown. This was the age of exploration, a pivotal period that shattered old worldviews, connected continents, and forever altered the course of human history. It was an age of bravery and innovation, but also of conquest, exploitation, and immense human suffering. Before this era, European geographical knowledge was largely confined to the Mediterranean, North Africa, and parts of Asia. The Atlantic Ocean was known as the Sea of Darkness, filled with mythical dangers. The prevailing world map was often based on Ptolemy's ancient geography, supplemented by medieval interpretations, leading to many inaccuracies. This event disrupted traditional European overland trade routes to Asia. A major catalyst for the age of exploration was the fall of Constantinople to the Ottoman Turks in 1453. For centuries, valuable spices like pepper, cinnamon, and cloves, along with silks and other luxury goods from the East, had traveled via the Silk Road. With the Ottoman Empire controlling these routes, European powers sought new, direct sea routes to circumvent middlemen and access these lucrative markets. This period of renewed interest in classical learning fostered a spirit of humanism, curiosity, and scientific inquiry. The spirit of the Renaissance also played a crucial role. People were eager to learn more about the natural world, to challenge old assumptions, and to push the boundaries of knowledge. The astrolabe and quadrant, adapted from Arab and Greek designs, allowed sailors to determine their latitude by observing the sun or stars. Technological advancements were fundamental. Ship design saw a revolution with the development of the caravel by the Portuguese. Sailors compiled detailed portal charts based on actual observations, making voyages more precise. This lighter, faster, and more maneuverable ship, with its distinctive lateen triangular sails, could sail effectively against the wind, making long ocean voyages possible. Navigation tools improved dramatically. The magnetic compass, a Chinese invention, became widely adopted, enabling navigation even in cloudy conditions. Cartography, the art of map-making, underwent significant improvements. The development of cannons and gunpowder, adapted for naval use, provided European ships with a powerful advantage for defense and conquest, and sometimes even find new allies against the Ottoman Empire, motivated many explorers and their sponsors. Economic motives were paramount. European powers were driven by the principles of mercantilism, seeking to accumulate wealth in the form of gold and silver. Direct access to Asian markets meant cutting out the costly Venetian and Arab middlemen, leading to greater profits. The promise of new resources, exotic goods, and vast lands fueled the ambitions of monarchs and merchants alike. Political competition among European monarchies was also a powerful driver. Nations like Portugal, Spain, England, and France vied for prestige, power, and colonial dominance. Religious zeal played a part too. The desire to spread Christianity, convert indigenous populations. He successfully navigated round the Cape of Good Hope and reached Calicut, India. The spices da Gama brought back yielded immense profits, proving the venture's worth. He named it the Cape of Storms, later renamed Cape of Good Hope. Their search for direct access to spice-producing islands led them deeper into the East Indies. The Portuguese, driven by Prince Henry the Navigator 1394–1460, were the true pioneers of the age of exploration, and forts along the coasts of Africa, India like Goa, Southeast Asia Malacca, and even China Macau. After a perilous 2-month journey, He landed on an island in the Caribbean, likely San Salvador, on October 12, 1492. Prince Henry, though he never sailed himself, established a navigation school at Saugus and relentlessly sponsored expeditions down the West African coast. Their early voyages aimed to find gold, establish trading posts, and bypass the Muslim-controlled trans-Saharan trade routes. They also engaged in the early slave trade. Gradually, Portuguese mariners pushed further south. They explored the Canary Islands, the Azores, and Madeira, establishing sugar plantations. In 1488, Bartholomew Dias achieved a monumental feat, becoming the first European to round the southern tip of Africa, proving that a sea route to Asia was indeed possible. This explains why Brazil became Portuguese-speaking. Just a decade later, in 1498, Vasco da Gama built upon Dias's success and gazed upon the vast Pacific Ocean, confirming the existence of another ocean between the Americas and Asia. This journey opened a direct sea route from Europe to Asia, fundamentally altering global trade. Though Magellan himself died in the Philippines, his crew completed the first circumnavigation of the Earth. The Portuguese quickly established a vast maritime empire, characterized by a network of heavily fortified trading posts. They controlled key choke points in the spice trade, creating a highly profitable, though often brutal, commercial empire. Meanwhile, Spain, eager to compete with Portugal, invested in a bold new idea, reaching the east by sailing west. Christopher Columbus, an Italian navigator, convinced Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand of Spain to fund his ambitious voyage. Later cartographers named the continents America in his honor. This silver fueled European economies, but also contributed to inflation. On August 3, 1492, Columbus set sail with 3 small ships, the Niger, Pinta, and Santa Maria. Columbus, mistakenly believing he had reached the East Indies, called the native inhabitants Indians, a misnomer that stuck for centuries. His subsequent voyages further explored the Caribbean islands and parts of the Central and South American coast, encountering numerous indigenous populations. His discovery irrevocably altered the course of world history, though it initiated a devastating era for the native peoples he encountered. Jacques Cartier explored the St. Lawrence River in Canada in 1534, laying the foundation for a new France. To avoid conflict over newly discovered lands, Spain and Portugal signed the Treaty of Tordesillas in 1494. English privateers like Sir Francis Drake also preyed on Spanish treasure fleets. Sanctioned by the Pope, this treaty drew an imaginary line west of the Cape Verde Islands, granting Spain control over lands to the west and Portugal to the east. They also briefly colonized parts of North America, New Amsterdam, later New York. It was Amerigo Vespucci, an Italian explorer, who realized that the lands Columbus had found were not Asia, but a new world. In 1513, Vasco Núñez de Balboa became the first European to cross the Isthmus of Panama. The ultimate proof of the Earth's spherical nature came with Ferdinand Magellan's expedition 1519 to 1522, and diseases between the Old World Europe, Asia, Africa, and the New World Americas. This incredible voyage proved the world was indeed round, but also far larger than previously imagined, and that a vast ocean lay between the Americas and Asia. Following Columbus, a new breed of Spanish explorers, the Conquistadors, arrived in the Americas, driven by God, gold, and glory. Hernan Cortes landed in Mexico in 1519 and, with a small force, began the audacious conquest of the mighty Aztec Empire. Utilizing superior weaponry, tactical cunning, the devastating impact of European diseases, and crucial alliances with disaffected indigenous groups, Cortes destroyed the Aztec civilization by 1521. Mercantilism thrived, as wealth in the form of gold, silver, and raw materials flowed from the colonies to European powers. Similarly, Francisco Pizarro led the conquest of the vast Inca Empire in the Andes Mountains of South America, beginning in 1532. Exploiting civil unrest within the Inca Empire and employing similar tactics, Pizarro brought down this complex and advanced civilization. European missionaries sought to convert indigenous peoples, often leading to the suppression and destruction of native cultures and belief systems. The discovery of immense silver deposits, especially at Potosi in present-day Bolivia, flooded Europe with precious metals. Other European powers quickly joined the race for exploration and colonization. England, though initially slower to expand, sent John Cabot to explore the North American coast in 1497, laying claim to lands that would become British colonies. English exploration focused heavily on finding a northwest passage through North America to Asia, though this proved elusive. Their primary colonization efforts eventually centered on North America, leading to the founding of Jamestown and Plymouth. France, too, sought its share of the new territories. French efforts often focused on the lucrative for trade and establishing friendly relations with indigenous populations for economic benefit. They also sought a northwest passage. The Netherlands, emerging as a major maritime power in the 17th century, also played a crucial role. The Dutch East India Company (VOC), formed in 1602, became the first multinational corporation and a dominant force in global trade. The Dutch rivaled the Portuguese in Asia, establishing colonies in the lucrative Spice Islands, Indonesia, Ceylon, Sri Lanka, and trading posts in Japan. The age of exploration had profound and often devastating consequences for the entire world. The most significant immediate impact was the Columbian Exchange, a massive, unprecedented transfer of plants, animals, culture, human populations, technology, from the Americas, foods like potatoes, maize, corn, tomatoes, chili peppers, and cacao revolutionized diets worldwide. Tobacco also spread globally. To the Americas came wheat, rice, coffee, sugar, horses, cattle, pigs, and sheep, fundamentally changing agriculture and ecology. However, the exchange also brought deadly diseases to the Americas, including smallpox, measles, influenza, and typhus, to which indigenous populations had no immunity. This led to an unimaginable demographic catastrophe, with indigenous populations plummeting by as much as 90% in some regions within decades of European contact. The immense demand for labor on plantations in the Americas, particularly for sugar and tobacco, led directly to the horrific Transatlantic Slave Trade. Millions of Africans were forcibly uprooted from their homes and transported across the Atlantic in brutal conditions, suffering immense loss and hardship. The age of exploration ushered in a truly global economy. New trade networks developed, connecting continents and creating an interdependent world system. Culturally and religiously, the spread of Christianity was a significant outcome. Geopolitically, the age of exploration led to the rise of powerful European maritime empires, fundamentally shifting the balance of global power away from traditional land-based empires. It expanded geographical knowledge exponentially, correcting centuries of misconceptions and forcing a radical shift in how humanity viewed its own planet. The age of exploration was a transformative, yet profoundly complex, period in human history. It was driven by incredible ambition and courage, leading to discoveries that literally connected the world. But this connectivity came at a devastating cost for many, marked by conquest, exploitation, disease, and the destruction of ancient civilizations. Its legacy continues to shape our world today, in our languages, our cultures, our economies, and our understanding of global interconnectedness.